I've been having weird things happening to me. Like I've been having dreams that are just, I tried doing a video. I spent an hour doing a video breakdown of what it is I experienced to try and, I was going to post it because I actually genuinely want people's opinions on what it is that I've experienced, because it's unlike anything I've ever experienced. I've had some wild dreams. I've had dreams that it's taken a really long time for me to break down, but I had a series of 3 dreams, and they were so, the message is just so clear to me, too clear to me, that I just don't know what the hell to make of it. And so I won't go into great detail, but just so whoever's listening can understand what it is that happened, I'm just going to go through the main points. So I had 3 dreams within about a 2-week period. Dream number 1, I was in the middle of a very dry desert. No one was around me. And this man in some roughed up clothing ends up walking towards me, or kind of past me. He doesn't even see me. It's like I'm just observing him. And he sees this little gadget. It looks like a piece of technology on the ground. Don't know what it was. It could have been a phone. I don't know. And he looks at it, and he has this, I won't forget his face. It was so expressive. He looked at it as if he saw his whole family get murdered right there. He was just completely terrified and just shocked. And he just glowed in his face. And then he just became so angry. And he went towards it and just stomped the hell out of that thing until it shattered into like dozens and dozens of pieces, small pieces. That was the end of the dream. I woke up thinking, well, what the hell was that? And then my second dream came, I don't know, 5 days, 6 days after. And it was the same guy. And I'm walking downtown Sudbury, where I'm living. And it's the exact same guy, the same outfit, everything. It's as if he just, it's like a continuation of the dream I had like days before. And I'm walking downtown. It's a normal day, like nothing in particular is kind of weird. And out of a laneway, or not a laneway, an alleyway in downtown, he comes around the corner and stops me in my path, kind of like he steps right in front of me and faces me. And we're about 2 or 3 meters apart. And he stares at me, and I stop and I just stare at him, and he walks towards me, and he puts his hand on my shoulder, leans in to my right ear, and he starts talking to me, but it's not words. It's unintelligible whispers. It's literally like hearing like 5 voices at once. I couldn't make out anything. And I remember just feeling like shivers throughout my whole body and like through my face. And I was looking off in the distance as he's talking to me. And it was just like, oh my God, I'm frozen. Like this information you're giving me is just, oh, I can't handle it. What is this? Overwhelming, terrified, shocked, haunted. And then he just turned around and walked down where he came from. And I looked, and I just kept looking at him like I was still frozen, like shocked, like what the hell? And then once he left, once he was out of my eyesight, my body just started to ease, and I woke up. So I started to feel a bit of relief, but then I just woke up, and I was like, what the hell? And then I wrote down in my phone, well, I was going to write down on my phone. Actually, I ended up going down to my computer, and sticky notes. So generally what I do when I wake up from a dream is I write it down on my phone right away. So I type it. I don't actually do this. Right. And I was going to do that, and I felt disgusted by my phone. It was like the feeling of if your partner cheated on you in a dream, and you woke up knowing that it wasn't real, but you look at your partner and you're like, God damn you! Like you feel like resentment towards them. That's what I felt about the phone. Okay, so I was like, what the hell? I didn't want to grab it, so I ended up writing it down on sticky notes, and then later on my computer in the middle of the night. And that was just crazy to me. And then the last dream was like just killed me. So I was in this black room. There was no up, no down, just blackness. I guess it wasn't even a room. It was just endless blackness. And there was a table and chairs, and I was sitting down in the chair like this. And this man again, the same man, pulled out the chair and sat down across the table from me. And he looks at me and he says, no. And it echoes. And he said so little right there, but I felt like, okay, like in the dream, I felt like, okay, I understand what you're telling me. And then cell phones drop on the table as the table extends, just like it's extended a couple of meters, like it just grew. Cell phones, like dozens of them, fell onto the table. And then some other like internal devices, I don't know what they're called, like hard drives or something inside of a computer, like you could see like all the wirings and stuff fell in front of me, directly in front of me. And he looked across to me and said, where's the ring? And I was just like, I didn't, like in the dream, I'm just like, fuck, like, I don't know what the hell, like what's happening. I couldn't speak. I felt like I was strapped to the chair, even though I wasn't. And I was just observing it. I was listening. I couldn't talk. And suddenly he just disappeared and he was at my side. Like he's going to talk to in my right ear again. And I think there's a significance to him talking in my right ear. Actually, I can explain that after. And as he starts talking, it's unintelligible voices again, just can't make it out. He pinches my left ear this whole time. And it hurt. Like I remember feeling like numb. It felt like uncomfortable kind of. And then he patted me on the back, and that was the dream. And I remember feeling when he patted me on the back after he spoke all this stuff, as if like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Like I felt like assured. It was like a pat on the back that I'd give my son before he takes on a new task. Like you can do this. You know what to do. You got this. That was my set of dreams. Craziest shit. Okay. Craziest shit. So before I tell you what I think that what it is I experienced, what do you make of something like that? Have you had anything remotely close to, maybe not the same type of story or like, but have you had something like where
I've never had a person recurring in a dream like that. You know, that's very interesting, especially like the same outfit, same kind of unintelligible whispers, like you say, like the same, all the details being the same in each dream. Like I've never had anything even remotely close to that. So that's
craziest thing. The wildest thing is that it reached across like almost a 2-week period. Like
right.
The gap was big enough. I didn't have dreams between then, really, that I could remember at least.
And the connection between them too, like the first one in the desert with the thing that he stumbles upon and stomps on, like whether it was a phone or whatever it was, and then dumping the devices on the table in the last one, like that connection is huge.
It's massive. And then the thing I didn't realize until after I was done my dream analysis after the third dream, because everything just clicked after that third dream. And it's still very fresh. So I could be totally off base here maybe not totally off base, but there's still more information I think that I'm missing. Is that when I woke up from the second dream, I was like, it's as if the crazy thing is that I know in the dreams he told me nothing that I could make sense of. Okay. This is what fucking kills me about this. I don't know what the fuck he was saying to me in the dreams, but when I started writing my analysis and like going through like what exactly happened in the dreams and thinking about what is it, these are connected somehow, really weird. I had visions of shit, and it all helped me realize like, okay, like I know what he said to me. I know what the dream was the dream was telling me, however you want to look at it. And I have like 2 or 3 different theories and ways to look at it that I just don't know what the hell it means, because it feels as though there's something like it wasn't just a dream. Like I was given a message and I was talking to like, I don't know, a time traveler or like a god or like something beyond my understanding.
And the interesting part for me, like the kicker, is when you woke up after the second dream and were repulsed by your phone.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
And you know, so I think I wrote it all out. It's not done. I really want to expand upon it because I think more time and maybe I'll have more visions or dreams or something that helps me figure this out. But I really think that, well, here, I'll just break it down quickly. as quickly as I can, is that I had visions that I was seeing like these man machine hybrids is the best thing I could say. When I was trying to break down the analysis of the dreams, like what the hell could be extracted from it. And I had these very clear images of like these man machine hybrids with like kind of like this one side had a goggle piece. Like it was I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like a glasses, but it was a one-sided like thing that covered the eye like a bubble. And it was it was attached to the person, and there was things on the wrist. It was very weird. Like there's very weird details that like we were basically intertwined with what I think is like some sort of computer or something. And man, it made me think about, well, where's the ring? What the hell does that mean? And I thought, I wrote it all out in depth. I'm like, this means he's asking me the relationship between man and machine. Why aren't you married to, like, why aren't you marrying your technology yet? And in marriage, the symbolism of marriage is, you travel down marriage, you end up birthing something new. These two entities create something new, and humans and technology creating something new would be something like, I don't know,
the hybrid, the man machine, the
hybrid, perhaps the Ubermensch or the Superman or whatever Nietzsche was kind of referring to in his work. And I thought about that after too, because I'm like, holy fuck, like maybe that's something profound that I've experienced too. I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of details that could really be expanded upon, but
how has this affected your relationship with technology since the dreams? Has something changed? Like when you woke up and you were kind of repulsed by your phone, has that kind of carried forward? And are you still looking at technology as if it's like, you know what I mean? Has it affected you in some way?
I'm still using it, but so I'm not like as repulsed like I was that one night, like where I just woke up and I was like, holy shit, no, like you've done me wrong or whatever. But it's really had me questioning what the hell this dream meant, and if I should be scared of technology, because this man was clearly terrified in my dream of technology, even this benign looking thing in the middle of a desert where nothing else exists, terrified the living hell out of him. And well, I think, and this is the craziest shit. Okay. Before all these dreams, I've been, this is the shit also that really just is killing me. And honestly, it sounds insane, I think, for anyone that's probably listening. I've been writing music. I think I've told you about it. And I have an album called The Fall of Man, is what I called it this before I received the dream. And there's this weird connection with it that I don't know what the hell to make of any of this. And the concept behind The Fall of Man was inspired by our conversation of our society is basically collapsing. Our values and all of our ideals are kind of just diminishing, and where the hell are we going? And maybe it's the fall of man, kingdoms collapse. Like I have song names set up for each song. And the theme is basically we're heading into a bad direction. Society is going to collapse on itself. And well, I started thinking about other musical projects. So I was like, okay, well, The Fall of Man, maybe this is connected to my dream somehow. Maybe this is like some weird subconscious or unconscious correlation that's happening. And, maybe it's something weird there. But I had looked back at some of my other music. I have an album called Recluse, and I released that at the end of 2019. And the concept of that was about isolation, being reclusive. And within months after that, we were forced to become reclusive entities inside of fucking our houses with stay-at-home orders because of this pandemic.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that I'm like this fucking like, what is it? Nostradamus predicting the future. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a weird connection between artists getting ideas, creative ideas, and pushing culture forward and kind of speaking to things that they don't really understand, but they just produce it. And I don't know if this is like a divine thing I've experienced that it's been helping me move forward with music or whatever, but maybe within months or within the next year, this whole dream, this fucking weird dream, is actually pointing to, like my Recluse album maybe did, the fall of mankind.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really think there is a correlation between technology and the way we use it and the fall of mankind, or the possible fall of mankind. I really look at the world and I don't see that we're using it in a very wise way. And maybe this guy in your dream was kind of a time traveler in a way, and that's why he's stomping on the technology, and the one about the ring part is weird though. Like, that one creeps me out, because it's almost like he's asking you, where's the ring? Why haven't you married it? Almost as if to make you think about that in a way, like, do I want to marry it? Like, do we want to marry technology? Like, he's kind of, you know what I mean? Like planting a seed, like, be careful of what you're doing here in a way. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's definitely to spark something. Yeah. And also the second dream too, because I don't remember you saying anything that there was technology in the second dream, right? That's when he came out of the laneway and just touched you and whispered something.
Yeah.
But then the fact that you were repulsed by your phone when you woke up after that dream was interesting. So it's almost like maybe those whispers were something about technology.
Yeah. Well, I actually wrote it out, and I'm pretty sure that one of my visions was basically saying, well, I think this is what he told me. It's just me speculating, but I was gripped by it. I was gripped by something that I was writing out. It just flowed like, what's the word? I don't know. It just flowed together well. And I was like, hey, well, this is like the big question mark. The middle dreams, like there's this question mark that I have to kind of fill the void. But I think it's not unreasonable to draw the conclusion that after me waking up and being repulsed by my phone and having him recur in each one of the dreams, and it's all these other signs of technology, that he said something about, maybe something crazy. Maybe he whispered to me saying, in the near future, man and machine hybrids are going to take over, and it seems like a really good idea. And we slowly step into, forward into the direction like that, and ends up being the most terrible thing that you could do. And this is what he tells me everything. Maybe he gave me the visions of the this technosatan in that dream. I don't know.
Yeah. And what you just said there, that's kind of the path that we take oftentimes, isn't it? Where something looks good, and so we kind of move forward towards it, and then we realize it's not good at all, but then we're so fucking immersed in it, we can't even turn back anymore. And that's why it's kind of like an alert, like to be cautious of how you proceed forward.
Yeah, exactly. And I started thinking about our value system as a society. I'm like, well, maybe, like, would we actually consider doing such a thing where we want to combine ourselves with technology? And essentially, it would, in my opinion, it would be an estimation. It would be an attempt to be immortal. And is this something that we actually would want to do? Would there be some geniuses that actually want to make us immortal? I was like, well, maybe, because if we could take our consciousness, our minds right now, you and I, Chris, and put them into a computer, and we had our consciousness live in that computer forever, knowing everything we've experienced, we would continue to live on, and we would basically push humanity forward beyond what we've ever been able to, because it's not just one lifetime that you're bound to. You're able to experience the entire history of everything. Yeah. And why wouldn't we want to do that if we're trying to do deep space exploration and whatnot? We want to solve these mysteries of the world and life. If we had the opportunity to do such a thing, I think we would. And I started thinking, well, we're basically playing God at that point. We want to be God. We kill God. And the only thing, if you replace God, you see this with the tax on religion. If you replace God, the only thing that can fill that void is God. So what do? You become a God.
Right.
And to me, that's been really killing me too, because we want to be gods. We do, because you see it in how we act every day. We want to be more than we are. but we're finite creatures. And I don't know, there's something compelling about that is gripping me, and it's extremely terrifying at the same time.
Yeah. I can see that, because these dreams didn't even happen to me, and it kind of like when you tell me about it, it gives me chills. It is like a message. I feel like it is a message. It's a gift and it's a message, and it is something that's maybe even a little bit ineffable, but I think something that's you're probably duty bound to extrapolate and figure out what the hell it is.
Yeah,
And
and I feel like that's the burden that I have right now. Is like I'm burdened by this to figure it out, and I don't know what the fuck to make of it. I'm just guessing. That's why I've had this like I felt compelled to talk about it and make a video and post it and talk about it, because it's just going to kill me. And then am I just going to take this to the grave? And I don't know. Like, it seems very
yeah,
odd.
yeah. Do you think that we already are in a way married to technology, and maybe also like, I don't know, borderlining on being these hybrids already in more or less terms? Like, do you feel like we're maybe already scratching the surface of that world?
And I do. And I think that's the terrifying bit to think about, is that we're in a relationship with technology. We're in some sense, you know, in some sense, we are it, right? We always have our phone on it, on us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we feel when our phone is not in our pocket, we feel empty. We feel like a part of us is missing.
Feel naked.
Yeah, you feel naked. You feel like all of your information and all of your attachments to life are gone, you know? And
In a way too, sorry to interrupt there, but in a way, I think even our knowledge, like if we leave our home without our phone or something, everything we know is not with us, because we don't even know how to remember phone numbers anymore. Like, that's all in the phone, right? And if somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, you're really quick to take the phone out and just Google it, whereas in the past we would have to rack our brain to try and remember it, or if we truly don't know, like seek out an encyclopedia or something. So I think everything we think we know is even in these phones.
Exactly. It holds so much information, and it makes our lives so much easier that, well, you know, if people didn't have to use mathematical, if people didn't need to know the math to solve problems, they could just have it in their head, so that if they were faced with something in front of them, they didn't have to take time to solve it, or have this, history of education that's helped, to break down whatever the wall is. They could just go, oh, Google, boom, done. Yeah. Break it down. Why wouldn't we do that? It makes life easier, and the selling factor is that it makes the whole system of, the entire social fabric better, because it makes us have more access to things more quickly, and it makes problems easier to solve, and the world becomes an easier place to live in. And the big problem for me is that it's within touching distance. And if we do it, especially after having this dream, it's just like we're getting rid of the human experience completely.
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's yeah, exactly. That's the scary thing about it, because yeah, like all the selling features that you say about phones there, it's on the surface, that's what it looks like. But then when you go a little bit deeper, you see that we are quashing some of the human experience. Our memory, like even to exercise memory is a pretty human trait, I think, like to have the power of recollection that we do. That's going. Like technology is killing that. And what else is it killing? Like our senses, our vision. I know that when I wake up in the morning, and if I spend some considerable amount of time on my phone, my eyes are kind of fucked up for the rest of the day. There's no argument that it's screwing up with our vision, screwing up with who knows how many of our senses that it actually is interfering with. And that's all part of the human experience.
Well, and the big selling factor, if we ended up moving into a world where it's like, okay, well, here's your eyeglass, and here's whatever goes in your wrist, like my dream kind of, or my visions kind of seem to populate that kind of idea. if that happened, then the selling factor is, well, you don't need to think anymore. You have access to everything. You are a supercomputer, but you're still able to live your life, and you're just a stronger, more pedestaled version of yourself. And people can, like, maybe buy it, or you work so many hours and you get, more chips to enhance your abilities or something. Right. And
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, who's in control of all this? And why wouldn't it be like as simple as, if someone acted out of line, why couldn't you just delete them?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing with computers, is they're not really autonomous, aren't they? There is somebody at the helm.
Mm-hmm. Or even the technology ends up getting a virus, or we call it a virus, but maybe it's has the ability to,
yeah,
we become vessels, and the technology just overrides all of us and controls all of us. And we've been conned into going down this path. So the technology plays some weird spiritual game with us right now in the situation that we're in. And it says like, seduces us in a sense, like, we can offer you all of these beautiful things, and we get you addicted to all of these other things. And it's all a means for us to get you, because we need you just even more than you need us, right? Because for us to be able to actually right now we're just like software or something. We need your hardware, we need your vessel, we need your meat suit. So they end up convincing us through however they do it, just being supercomputers and smart and having all of this glory to it, to give ourselves, our very essence, our bodies up. Becomes an embodiment thing where they just consume us, and once they're in us, they take over. Game over.
Wow. Like, when you say all this, I don't know, man, but in my mind, it's like we're already there. We're already in that world. We are already consumed by technology, and we're already walking around with the notion that we have such a reliance on it. If the World Wide Web were to just go down tomorrow, let's say, this world would be pandemonium. It would be fucked. Like, the reliance that we have, but people wouldn't be able to pay for their purchases or anything, groceries, whatever, because debit cards run through the internet, doesn't it? Like, it all runs through the system. So if the internet were to just go down, like, so yeah, we're already married to it. Like, this is already a reality.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I view it as we're just about married. Like, I think once we give ourselves up to it, then that's the marriage. That's you're creating a new being. You're not just a human, and that's not just technology. You're this hybrid now. Like, I think we're just about engaged to it.
What point do you think that happens? Like, from where we are right now, if you look at us right now, what more could we do in the way of giving ourselves up to technology? You know what I mean? Like, what
we could think about. We could think about someone like Elon Musk's idea of the idea of healing dementia by implanting something into your brain. It's a great thing. Everyone views Elon Musk as this superhero, this Iron Man, this Batman, the Superman of the world that's really here to, and by all estimations right now, everything is going great. All of his ideas are brilliant, and he's the genius of the world. But I've said this before, but the path to hell is paved with good intentions, and perhaps this is the path to hell. And maybe we take this a step too far. We see, oh, well, this works. It makes everyone so we just get rid of all of our problems that we've had with mental health, dementia, hearing loss, all of these paraplegia. Like, there's all these things that we could say that we could heal if we had this implant in our head.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
What if we take it a step further and say, well, why not do it for someone like you or I that has no issues, and just try to make us smarter, better?
Right. So you're saying once we start inserting technology into our body, that's when we're becoming married to it at that point.
Yeah. Well, that's what I think. I think what's the next step? The next step is that right now we're separate entities, and we rely on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and there's some weird other shit that I've been looking into, like astrology, which I've always deemed to be fucking bogus and shit. But there's something weird about it, man. There's something really weird about it. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it because maybe I'll look foolish, but there's some things.
I'm curious what you have to say about it.
Well, oh man. Well, you know how we talked. I'll just leave it at this because I think it's an entire different block to a whole other hour, maybe more than that, to talk about it. But after experiencing these dreams and thinking about and researching some other things, I'm convinced that our future dictates our past. I don't think, like we talked briefly about it, like the idea of predestination, the idea of why the hell are you gripped to things? And I keep saying, well, it could be our potential presenting itself right now because it needs to be tangible, needs to be palpable in the present. But I'm thinking that our future, everything is predestined. I think it's really fucked up, man. And it sounds absolutely insane because.
So like the future is kind of laid out and it kind of like dictates your present time.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the idea, the thing that's really warping me into believing this is that not only the psychological, structures of our being that we just aren't able to understand, and our consciousness and all of these things that we just can't understand at all. Like we have no fucking idea. Like we don't know why the materials in our brain are produce consciousness and give us awareness. We don't know this. It doesn't make any sense. And so beyond just that, it's the astrology. Like, have you read Aion from Jung? Okay.
No.
You should read it. And well, or just look up the Great Conjunction. So to start off with that, the idea of, the perfect alignment of Saturn and Jupiter, the two biggest planets in our solar system, and the events that occur whenever the Great Conjunction happens seem to be the most. Well, what was it? I think, and I could be wrong here. This is all very new to me. This is like fresh in my information, but the fall of Rome, the collapse of Rome, Great Conjunction. COVID-19, 2020, there was a Great Conjunction.
Right. Yeah.
And you go back in history and the year of the Aquarius, the year of this, and there's always some truth to these things. The idea, the term like written in the stars.
Yeah.
Like we look to the stars and we're able to make a prediction, or they, not us, but like people of the past, they were able to do this. And it continues to be somewhat correct.
Yeah.
And like you've said before, there's something, we're all interconnected. And I think we don't understand the cosmos, but I think enough to say that we aren't. And I think, well, I don't know what to think, Buck. I don't know what to think. I really don't.
Yeah, I haven't. My wife would be a good one to talk to more about astrology. She's more well-versed in that than what I am. I've maybe more like you. I've always kind of considered it a bit kooky, but have recently started to change my perspective on it a little bit, especially like with what you said about the Great Conjunction of 2020, COVID. And then I didn't know the fall of Rome was also on a Great Conjunction. That's pretty interesting. But
I could be wrong. I could. Sorry, I could be wrong. I don't know exactly. Okay. I think there was though.
Right, and like now we're heading into the age of Aquarius, and that's like new. I think it's like new birth, like new evolving. Like we're kind of teetering on the edge right now of basically like a fork in the road where we evolve in one direction or like the wrong direction or whatever, the opposite direction. And I think that's occurred many times throughout humanity. So like I'm compelled to believe it, as much as this is the thing, having studied a bit of science in my life, well, all throughout my life, actually, I've kind of always been a student of science. It kind of ruins you in a way. Like it makes you overly critical of everything, and that you need actual tangible empirical proof and data to believe in something, but then sometimes that's just not like maybe there's just no proof, And it's really hard to step out of that critical, questioning, skeptical mindset that science kind of births, having studied science, and to come more into like just faith kind of belief. You know what I mean? Just knowing that there's something bigger that we just can't explain. Like, I think it was, I can't remember if it was Einstein or whoever said it, but he kind of gave the comparison of a goldfish, like has no idea what exists beyond its bowl that it's in. And it could be like humans. Like maybe we have actually no idea what exists beyond what we're actually able to observe, you know? And that's what happened with me with astrology, is I just wrote it off because I was just too skeptical of almost everything unless there was actual proof. That's why I threw the Bible out too. Like I didn't believe any word of it because, well, there's no proof. So, but that's the danger of science, in my perspective, is that it kind of, yeah, for me, it ruins your mind. Like it ruins that intrinsic, like when you're a child and anything's possible and anything can be everything and you don't really attach labels to things, and the world just seems so much richer that way. You know, a shovel could be used for 10 different things, whereas now we look at a shovel and it's only a shovel. And that's the thing that I feel like science is, it constrains your way of thinking.
And I think it is the new religion, you know,
Right.
with and this ties back to my dream. If we perceive it as a new religion, you know, the more science has been integrated in life and the more we've advanced with technology, the more religion takes the back burner, and the more that people look at religion as being all lies, or at least largely lies. And therefore we put it on the back burner, and we actually criticize it to the point that, you know, Christianity is basically being deemed as evil, and you're an idiot if you're religious in this day and age. We have science. It proves religion wrong, you know, like you're saying. And well, this furthers the point that what I think I've extracted from my dream, is that we're placing technology to be our God.
Yeah, deifying it in a way.
We're getting rid of religion and we're pedestaling technology because that's what science is telling us. And, you know, it's bringing about this nihilism.
Yeah.
And when you remove the religious God, you remove all of everything that comes with it. So the moral, the value, like everything that comes with it.
Yeah, all the wisdom too that comes with it. Like there's a lot of wisdom that could be extrapolated from the Bible, man. It's nuts. And you know, all that just goes down, then it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I don't know what to make of any of this, really. Like I'm in a point right now in my life where, as you kind of alluded to a second ago, where you've been a student of science and you've had this belief that, well, you know, the tools and methods of science, and it's a very strong, like, you know, it's not to bash it. I'm not bashing it, but it's concrete and it has its place, and without doubt. But this is why I think I sound crazy. There's things that we just can't explain in relativity to something like fucking whatever we were just talking about, astrology.
Yeah.
Like these things, we're not able to explain them through science, the tools and methods of science. So therefore it's just some spiritual garbage, you know? No, like thousands of years people have been using this, and they've been doing better. Like we have this mirage, I think, with technology, where we think that, look at all the expedients, you know, the gratification we're getting instantly from technology. It's making our lives so easy. We're very much becoming these comfortable beings. And it is like, it's eliminating the human experience completely.
Yeah.
And that's the concern I'm coming to realize, is that yes, science and technology is brilliant. It's perhaps one of the best things we've ever done as a species. But you know,
maybe also one of the worst things we've ever done as a species.
That's the thing. And if you push it to its limit, you become the technology overrules you. It becomes a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
And
That's the thing about duality, that I'm kind of hung up on this dual world right now, because I came across this monk, or this guy who used to live like a monk, and then he kind of reintegrated back into society. And one of the biggest things that I took away from this guy when I heard him speak is that the like a monk philosophy is, you don't go too high and you don't go too low. You want to stay more stable. So don't go too high in the highs, and then you won't go too low in the lows. And I think with what we've done with science, like with what you just said, it's the greatest thing we've done. So we're going really high into science, which also means it's also a great evil. You see what I'm saying? Like, as great as it is, it's also, because you have to think about that duality. So yeah, the better something is, then the darker its shadow side is going to be.
Yeah, well, exactly. And we're really unable to see it. I think a large portion of us are unable to see it. I think, and if people are saying that technology is bad, they're usually meaning it like, well, Instagram makes me addicted to it and I use it for too long and I don't get to study for my tests. It's like this very shallow,
it goes deeper than that.
Yeah. And well, I just don't know. I'm at a fucking crossroads, and it's really killing me though. Like, I don't know how to perceive anything anymore. Everything is just this. I feel like I've restarted life in the sense that, like, everything I look at that I was so certain about, I'm not so certain about anymore. It's scary. I'm fucking scared about some things, man, because I don't know anything.
Yeah. I think like I would go as far as calling it an awakening, in a sense, a spiritual awakening, and something in you is dying, like your identity, your previous identity, or what you think you knew about stuff, how you perceive things, it's shifting and it's dying in a way that could also elicit the fear, because then you're like, well, what the hell, like, what's happening here? You know what I mean? I went through a similar process almost 4 years ago now at this point, and I was right in the same boat. I was freaked out, and I started seeing things so differently, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then all my friends too at the time, I actually ended up parting ways with many of these people because I couldn't be around them. I was vibing in a totally different realm, it seemed like. You know what I mean? And I had to leave the country and go to Costa Rica to find myself, because I was losing it. So yeah,
that's how I feel. That's how I feel like I'm losing it. I feel like I've become like this psychotic in a sense.
And
like,
the funny thing is, the signs of an awakening are very similar to the signs of a mental breakdown. You know, and that's, I came across through my wife, actually, this video of a shaman who works with people in mental hospitals. And he claims that these people are actually more connected to divinity than what anybody else is, especially schizophrenics. And I found that to be super fascinating. And it kind of showed me the correlation between, like, the line between insanity and awakened or conscious is, it's a thin line.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so, without question, I think that's right. And I just don't know which side of the line I'm on, or maybe if I'm not even near the line at all, if I'm just maybe I don't know. But here, just to get more, we went down one path of my interpretation of the dream, technology, and this is the kind of the signal that I got. I broke it down in two other ways too. One that I already mentioned was kind of the music kind of idea. Maybe this was something, because there is a correlation between artists kind of pushing culture forward. Okay. And I thought more about it, and I want your opinion in regards to, like, maybe we should save it for another time. I don't know. Maybe we should save it for another time. It's going to kill me. It's going to kill me if I think about it, because I don't know.
You gotta rest a little bit. Don't kill yourself too much on Oh,
Yeah.
this you got to ride the wave, man. Like, it's awesome. You say it's fucked, but at the same time, like, I'm super stoked for you in a way because it's exciting. Like, this transitional phase it's terrifying, but it's also like, would you want any other way? Would you rather be sitting in the same old every day, complacency and shit? Like,
Mhm.
this is exciting, man.
It is. It is. Well, fuck, we'll just do it. We'll just do it then. It's exciting. Okay. So my idea is, if artists can be said to some degree to be pushing culture forward, and perhaps they aren't even aware of the messages that are in their, especially they're very novel artists, like very weird kind of artists, then is there some sort of collective unconscious that exists? And I was thinking, well, what is it like? Think about like fucking movies. Okay. Like we just talked about a whole series of possibilities with technology and these dreams and whatnot, and how, we could be at the end of the world with technology. That's a sci-fi movie. There's been sci-fi movies like what if something like the Terminator, what if something like the Matrix have all been our collective unconscious putting out entertainment that we all are able to consume, and we just perceive it as entertainment. That was such a good movie. That's a great story, but it's really a warning. And it populated in these people, in these artists' creative procedures, because it didn't come from nowhere. It came from maybe a signal of anxiety or a neurosis or of things to come. And well, I just want to know what your thoughts are about that. Because like, what the hell, man?
I know. I really believe that there are people, especially artists, have some degree of psychic abilities and clairvoyance in a way where you can. I think it has to do with the creative energy. I think when you're really tapped into your creative energy, that's when you are more clairvoyant in a way, and you can have premonitions. And it does sound far out to some people, but then it's because it's really experiential. There's no amount of convincing you can tell somebody that, or there's no amount of convincing to show somebody that you saw something before it happened. Imagine trying to convince somebody that the Matrix is a true story for the future. Like, you would never convince somebody. With the person that created the Matrix might be fully convinced of it because they experienced it. They experienced that kind of premonition when they were creating it. I fully believe that. Like, I think you're spot on.
Or perhaps they don't even know that it's a message to them and the people around them, right? It's just that, like, and maybe it's less entertainment than it is some sort of, storytelling, archetypes. All these things are powerful, and we talked about this briefly before. We think in stories, and there's utility to be extracted from stories, and it's not a short-term expedient game, I don't think. And that's why I'm confused by
that's the thing. Like, that's our stories have become a lot more elaborate. Maybe back like 2,000 years ago, they were just little parables that eventually made their way into the Bible, like little messages like that. But now we can put together movies and things like that and make it way more immersive in a way. And like, we've gotten way more elaborate, but at the end of the day, it's still stories. It's still the same kind of as the parables from the Bible.
It is. Yeah. And fuck, well, that's the other thing. I just wanted to put that out there, because that's the second kind of route I was taking, is like, well, maybe this is a signal from an artist's perspective or something. And then the other one I wanted your opinion on is, we did technology. The other one was, what the hell did we talked about technology? We talked about that. What was my other one? Damn it, I can't remember. Slipped my mind. I broke it down. Well, maybe it'll come back to me in a few moments.
I was just going to say something further too, and now it slipped my mind. We're just having
we're on the same wavelength. Something's happening, man.
Wow.
This is the universal consciousness, our unconscious.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, see, and what if it is like, and that's something that you just can't explain, just like the meditation stories I told you about with my wife and I, how we have similar experiences when in the same room. Like that's something, I'm sorry, but I will never believe that science would ever be able to explain that. That's beyond science.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
anyways,
I
yeah.
remembered it. I remember.
Good.
Beyond science. Okay, so from a psychological perspective, I broke it down. And this is why when I was telling the story, I made sure to tell you about which ear he was talking into, because I think maybe there's something to this. Maybe my different hemispheres of my brain were communicating and I was just observing it. I was thinking about that a lot because if you split your corpus callosum, it's basically the piece of your brain that connects your right hemisphere and your left hemisphere. You're able to find out precisely, the neuroscientists and all of these brilliant psychoanalysts are able to determine what exactly each hemisphere does. And it turns out that the left hemisphere seems to be very much tied to linguistics. Your ego, is what they say, and like talking. It's the hype man. It's where a lot of your dopamine receptors are. So it's really, kind of the outgoing side. And then the right hemisphere is more of this wise kind of elder that listens and observes and just kind of intakes information and from the sidelines kind of thing. And I was thinking of it from that perspective, because the man came to my right side and would always talk in my right side. And in one of the dreams, the last dream, he pinches my left ear. And like, what the hell? Like, why would you, like, what does that mean? And then I was thinking, this is why I started thinking about it. Cause like pinching the left ear is a signal of some sort. I don't know. That's not a normal thing. So I started thinking about, well, what's the, like left and right? What's the difference? Ears. I tried to see significance, nothing. So I was thinking it might be this battle of my brain, like my hemispheres. Because I wasn't able to speak in any of my dreams either. What if my position in the dream was that of the elder, the wise person, the listener, the observer, and this man who kept reappearing was the position of the ego, and maybe, like, I don't know, and so I wanted your opinion on that, and I wanted to know, like, have you, like, do you know anything about that type of thing, having such a, because that's kind of a profound fucking dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about it. The ear pinch thing really, man, the details of this dream, it's mind blowing.
Well, because the thing is, these dreams were like 20 seconds, like 30. They're not long dreams, but what happened in them, the exchanges were like very, like, when there's details, so they need to be extrapolated and stuff. So. Yeah. And I was thinking, well, after I wrote, like, this is another thing. When I got the visions and tried to piece it all together, writing out the dream analysis, I was like, well, I'm able to figure this all out because now the conversation or the interaction between the two, me and the man, the two hemispheres of the brain are now working together in my waking state. And now I'm getting these visions, and now I'm able to fucking solve the problem.
Yeah.
Because when they're together, they work well together. Separately, they do totally different things.
Yeah. It's interesting. I wonder if he would have spoken to your left ear, if it would have had the same outcome. Because then basically what you're saying is he would have, in a way, technically been speaking to your ego, and which is very dismissive maybe. But instead he was speaking to the wise elder, the observer, who's not so quick to discount information. And maybe that's why it had to come through that way, through your right.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I don't know. I'm just fucking hypothesis.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. The ear pinch thing though is weird for me. I don't know how I would interpret that.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I've had dreams where you remember these little subtle details like that. And it seems like an innocuous detail, but then why would you remember it above all else? You know what I mean?
That's right.
And that's why I think it's a very important detail, as innocuous as it looks on the surface.
Well, whenever I do dream analysis, I write down details. Like if I have a dream about someone breaking into my room right now, and there's a soccer ball on the floor, I make sure, and then they leave. That's the dream. Let's just say I'm just making something up. I write down, well, what did the door look like? Was it a normal door? What color was it? Was the soccer ball a normal soccer ball? We can't take these things as like something that we just know.
Right.
If I describe a soccer ball, you might have a different interpretation of it than me. And what if my dream next week or tomorrow ends up having a soccer ball? It's the same ball, but it's a different color, or the same color or themes keep reproducing themselves. These little details end up making they somehow connect.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I go about it, at least with my analysis, is like I try and whatever pops up in the dream and that I remember is relevant.
Do you think maybe the ear pinch could have denoted like, don't listen to the ego. Don't listen to the ego side. Be the observer. Like,
ooh, I never thought, well, something just came to my mind now. Maybe I went too deep in my analysis that I just explained. Maybe it's what you're saying. Don't listen to the ego. He's pinching and saying, well, the ego is the one that gets us into this technological trouble.
right.
Oh, shit, man. Because
Yeah.
I broke the way I broke it down with the left and right was just like, well, it's just, just this experience I had of my brain,
Right.
talking or something. But man, that you just added a curveball into this whole thing.
Threw another cog in the wheel.
Oh man.
Man, you could write like a little mini book about this sequence of dreams. I think it's really incredible. Like I'm floored. Like I said, I've never had a dream with a recurrent, like this magnitude of a recurring theme or character. Even like this is next level, man.
Well, I literally wrote the whole dream out. It's about, all three dreams are like a paragraph, like a long paragraph, like a page on my WordPad.
Yeah.
The explanation for it is 5 or 6 pages, and I'm not even close to being done. And like,
Yeah.
so I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious if it comes up again. I'm really yeah. If he rears himself again in your dream, that's, oh man. Yeah, it's
Well,
so cool.
I really want to know if other people have experienced things like this, because I've never experienced a dream quite like
me
this.
too. I've never heard of anybody experiencing it either. So I would be curious to know that too.
Like I've had dreams, I think I mentioned it to you before, where like certain, like Daniel Craig, but it was like the same type of dream.
Yeah.
And he was kind of hunting me and like,
Yeah.
and I don't know, but this is very different.
I've had recurring dreams too, like in my past in a certain neighborhood or whatever, and like certain details similar, they come up in dreams from time to time, like, but nothing like this. This is like a messenger in your dream. This is like what you said, like a time traveler or something, like a god or something. This is a messenger. So it's different.
It's very fucking different.
Yeah, and I think it is a gift, and it's up to you to figure out what you have to do with it.
Yeah, and that's sure as hell feels like a curse to me.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. But
I can see that. But yeah, it might be your greatest benefit. Who knows? This guy might have saved your life in a way, and you might find that out down the line. He might have saved fucking humanity in a way. Who knows? Maybe you're going to be the messenger to say, whoa, let's put the brakes on these hybrids. This is not a good direction.
Well, it'd be interesting to write out the dream in detail and give it to someone like that's, like really fine expert in dream analysis or psychoanalyst, like something. And maybe they can write a book about this, and maybe they'll be able to solve this. I don't know.
Yeah, I could even see it becoming a screenplay. For sure.
this paragraph of a dream, when written out, becomes a fucking 2-hour movie.
Oh man, yeah, it's really cool. I'm so excited to have had this conversation and go back and forth about it and be a part of the interpretation, and because it's so cool.
Well, I appreciate it, man, because this feels like a little bit of a weight spin off my chest a bit, and it helps me kind of like, that little tidbit you gave towards the end too, like,
yeah, And if
I don't
anything
know.
else comes up, I'll surely share it. And because I find it's incredibly fascinating.
Hmm. Well, shall we talk about anything else, or should we save it?
We can save it. We can do another episode.
Okay, that works. Okay.